Hello, my name is Isaac. I'll be taking you powders under cities 407 dispensing. Now, powder is a solid dosage form. We all know that, and it's divided into two. We have bulk powder. These are the types, and then we have divided powders. Of course, bulk powders. We have those for internal use and then those for external use. Of course, we all know that, like example, here we have dusting powder, is for external use, and it's a bulk powder, and many others that you can find. But majorly, divided powder are for internal use. Okay, now the difference is just simply in their labeling when you are packaging them to send to your patient. We know for internal use you use black pen in your labeling, and for external use you use red. I don't want to go over that. We all know that in our 306. But what you need to take note under powder, very very key, is majorly some students find it difficult to know which one am I to double wrap and all of that. And I will just attempt by listing out some ingredients or some substances or some so to say that you come across during your exams or tests or during your weekly practicals, that you need to pay key attention. That once you see this ingredient, you should put it at the back of your mind that you are going to double wrap, because that is also very key. So we have amino citrate, we have camphor, we have clobutol, we have citric acid. Anytime you see any of these ingredients, just know that you are going to double wrap. We have menthol, pancreatine, your sodium chloride, thymol. So, anytime you see any of these ingredients in your list of questions, just know that if it is powder, you need to double wrap. So, having that at the back of your mind, we will now go into solving some questions and in relation to this particular aspect of the course, which is the powder. Now, you need to know that whether it is powder, emulsion, or suspension, I would like you to take note of this acronym, very, very key. It will help you, which is, I titled as NCT. Is the name of my patient given? You need to take note of that. What is the gender? What is the sex of my patient? Is he male or female? That will also help you because of incompatibility. We also look at the age of the patient. You need to also take note of that. The age of my patient, and then of course the incompatibility, which is the very key thing in dispensing 407. For 306, you may not have any business to do with this, but for this course, incompatibility is key, and even in powder. Then you look at the dose. Having this at the back of your mind, it will help you. I don't want to go into explaining how you go about it. I believe you know it. Now, when you see a question, there is what you need to first start with. After copying your question in a double-fed page of your book, the question given to you, you have to now look into what we call comment. You have to look at the comment, which is very, very key. The comment in that, before you go into calculation and all of that, you have to look at the comment. And the comment talks about this acronym I've given to you. You look at your question. Is the name of my patient given? The gender, that one is not much required, but there are some cases where you have to look at that when you are looking at the pharmacological incompatibility or compatibility of your product. And then you also go into the age. That will also help you and then the dose and all of that. So we'll go into the example improper, and I just want to give you one here that will help us. Just let's say a question is given to you. Take down digoxin. We'll be looking at the first example under powders. A question like this given to you, maybe from your question paper, RS digoxin 500 milligram. Narration is 1 BD, 5 days, for 5 days. All right, when you look at the question like this, the first thing you need to do, of course, this is where 407 has a key difference from what's it called, from the 306. So now what you need to do is to look at the comment first. After copying the question from the question paper, just the way it is, you write your comment. And what will guide you in this is the acronym as I've said earlier, which is the SAT. Now, if you look at this question, who are you sending this product to? Who are you sending the product to? You don't know. So, of course, name of patient not given. Name of patient. To save time, of course, name and age. If you look at it, there is no age. So, instead of having them two separately, you can merge them together to save time. You don't need to write name of patient not given, age of patient not given. You can just merge them together and say name and age of patient not given. From your question, if the age is given, you don't need, of course, we'll see some example like that. Name and age of patient not given. So, of course, then the next thing I will advise you to do is to look at your ingredient, the main active ingredient, which is your digoxin. And of course, I don't want to go into that, but you know that digoxin is one of the drugs that have a very narrow therapeutic index, and it's a poison. So what you need to do is to go into your BBC and check for the dose. Of course, if I were you, I can ask for my what's it called, for your supervisor to come and even sign at this point. Let's say, for example, name and age of patient not given. He can now say, okay, let me just give you, okay, let's say, for example, Mrs. Garba, for example, Mrs. Garba Aisha, and they now say 45 years old, for example. So, if something like this is given to you, let's say, for example, to help solve this, because he will come and take this and then give you the information required. You can now go into your BBC to check for under digoxin and the dose. And if you check your BBC, of course, I believe you know how to check it. If you don't, please, I think there may be a video to teach you how to do that. Just look for it on our platform. Now, in your book, you will discover that the usual dose for digoxin given orally is 1 to 1.5 milligram, either in a single dose or in divided doses. You can get that information from your book, official pharmacopoeia. So you can find that there, which is the BBC. Now, that is the official dose, but look at what was given to you. That either in a single or divided dose is between 1 to 1.5 milligram. But what was given to you is 500 milligram. It therefore means that your dose, there is overdose. There is problem of overdose. So what you write is this. You see the usual. You see, mind you, remember I'm using this to guide me. This acronym and NSAT. Name and age of patient. I've given you all of this. Name, gender, which is sex, age, incompatibility, dose. Here, there's nothing like incompatibility because it's only a single product. When you have a list of ingredients, of course, you have to look out for incompatibility. The reason why I don't want to go into that, I did not talk about anything incompatibility here, is because it's just a single ingredient I was given. So, but now, of course, I look at the whole question. Name of my patient is not given. If I prepare a product, who should I give? No. So there's mark for that. So you have to write name
And then I also look at it, I discovered that the age was not given. So instead of writing them separately, I just made them together, that name and age of patient was not given. Of course, my supervisor will come and write, okay, give me a name, Mrs. Garba Aisha, for example, age 45 years old. So, and I went into looking at the ingredient itself, which is digoxin. When I look at the book says, that is the BBC, the official book, BBC, now say that for the usual dose for digoxin is 1 to 1.5 milligram, either in single or divided dose. And what was given to me is 500 milligram. Of course, we know that this is an overdose already. If you give your patient, that is an obituary. So now, I will now say, okay, to help solve this problem of overdose, this is how to put it. You say, okay, the usual dose, for example, from the book, you will see it there written. It's allowed, copy from there. So the usual dose is 1 to 1.5 milligram by mouth, that is orally given, in either single or divided dose. This thing I'm writing is directly from the official book. Is that okay? So you don't need to fear. Now, how will I get to know this information? It's there for you to just copy. But when you write this, you have to also show your supervisor that this information is from the book. So I have to write in bracket, is from BPC. And what is the page? Page 163. I think you can get that from that. So you get this information from there. So what you now say, therefore, there is overdose of digoxin. Therefore, there is problem of overdose. But this information, how do I know that there is an overdose? Is because I went to the book and checked for this particular ingredient given to me, and I discovered that actually the usual dose is between 1 to 1.5, but 500 milligram was given, and I have to indicate that. And then my supervisor will now come and strike this out and possibly give me any dose of his choice. So based on this information, he now say, okay, it's 1 milligram that is given. So he will also mark this information and possibly write 1 milligram. Take 1 milligram for your dose. So you have to strike it and write it here so that you will not go and work with this one. You will just fail anyhow. So now, if that information is taken, of course we know that for powders, the minimum amount to be sent is 200 milligrams. But look at what is given to you. So of course you know that you will need a diluent, isn't it? Yes, you cannot even weigh this because the minimum weighable amount is from your machine weighing balance is 50 milligrams. Abi? So you can't weigh 1 milligram. So you need a diluent. You need a diluent to be able to get this. So what you need to do is the next step that I'm going to take you. So of course, if you so wish, you can write it as your third point that this amount is not weighable. So you will need a diluent to add. Of course, the diluent that is required is the lactose. Is the lactose that you need to add to it. So now that will now take us. Permit me to clean this so that we can have space to other aspects of the calculation. All right. So now the next thing after your comment, the next thing you need to write is your given formula and working formula. Now your digoxin will now be 1 milligram here, not 500 milligram, 1 milligram that is given. Then of course, in your comment, as I've said, you have to add it because of this 1 milligram that is given. You need lactose because the minimum weighable like that your weighing balance can weigh is 50 milligram, and it's 1 milligram that is given. And even in sending to your patient, the minimum weighable amount to send is for powders is 200 milligram. So now here my lactose will be quantity sufficient. I will go into that, so don't worry, you just need to write this and wait. So we have to now go into the calculation. But we need to know that for powders, for divided powders, for example, if you look at the question that was given, the direction says that you are to give one powder BD, that is twice daily, for 5 days. The interpretation of this means is that in a day, the person will be taking 2 powders, one in the morning, one in the evening, for 5 days. So to know the quantity of powder to send to your patient is this. Now, the total number of powders to prepare will now be, since in a day is 2 and it's for 5 days, it therefore means that you are sending 2 times, that is total number of powders to be prepared will now be 2 times 5. 1 BD means he's taking 2 in a day, 1 in the morning, 1 in the evening, for 5 days. So it will be 2 times 5. But in powders, when you are preparing, you need to make room for excess, and it's usually 2. So now 2 times 5, which is 10, plus 2 excess. You make room for excess in case of any problem in the course of preparation, to cover up for it. So now 2 times 5 is 10 plus 2, which is 12. So you are preparing, the number of powders to prepare is 12. Now this 12 will now make you to, you will multiply it by the ingredient. Each of the ingredients given to you, but here it's just one ingredient given to you. So now it will now be, for digoxin, it will be 1 milligram times 12, which is 12 milligram. That is for the whole powder. The quantity of digoxin is 12 milligram. Is that okay? But we know that you cannot weigh 12 milligram, because the minimum weighable amount that your weighing balance can weigh is 50. Is 50 milligram, and this is 12. So what do you need to do? You need to titrate. That is what we call titration. So now, you will now get your digoxin, weigh 50 milligram of digoxin. Weigh 50 milligram of your digoxin. Of course, at this point, you should know why we are weighing 50 milligram. But what we need is 50 milligram to prepare for the whole 12 powders. Is 12 milligram of digoxin. But because our machine cannot weigh 12 milligram, the minimum it can weigh is 50 milligram. And that is why we need a diluent. So to do that is we weigh 50 milligram of our digoxin, and then add, that is, you weigh 450 of your diluent, which is lactose. 450 milligram of lactose, and that will give you 500 milligram of your mixture, that is the digoxin and your diluent, which is the lactose. So we can name this one as 500 milligram of T1. That is titration 1, the first titration you did. So we have something that way. So it means that 500 milligram of my mixture, that is 50 milligram of digoxin and 400 milligram of lactose to give you 500 milligram of your mixture, you will discover that you have 50 milligram of digoxin here. Because it's just simple now. Look at it here, 50 milligram, you added to 450 milligram of lactose to have this. Somebody will ask, why do we make it up? It's just for easy, this, if you like, you can do it up to 1, but this is the easier way to make it easy for you. Just 50, 450 will give you 500. So your digoxin present in this 500 mixture is 50 milligram. Now, so I will now get 50 milligram again of my T1. This board is too small for me. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I believe you are understanding what I'm saying, right? All right. So, but just be following. I wish it's a very big board for us to have every information, but I believe as you are watching, you will be copying alongside. So now you have this at your 500 milligram of the mixture containing 50 milligram of your drug present. Now, I will also take 50 milligram of T1. Somebody will say, why are we taking? All right. So, when we weigh 50 milligram of digoxin, added 450 milligram of lactose, we have 500 milligram of T1 of our first titration. So, from this mixture, we have 50 milligram of our drug present. So, if 500 milligram of T1, of your T1, contain 50 milligram of our drug, that is of digoxin, how much of this will you weigh to mix with your lactose to get your final product? That is a simple calculation we are trying to do. So for this, we have 12 milligram. You remember, for the whole preparation, we have 12 milligram of our drug from that question that you remember, when it was 500 milligram, we discovered problem of overdose. We now complain that, okay, we have 1 to 1.5 milligram as our usual dose, either in single or divided doses. And then the supervisor now mark it and give you 1 milligram, of which we know that 1 milligram you cannot weigh it. And then again, that the minimum weighable amount is 50. That is what our machine can weigh, the weighing balance. But for the minimum weighable quantity of powder to send to your patient is 200 milligram. Keep that at the back of your mind, because we will come to that. But now we want to from the titration to know the amount to weigh. So when we got this, we know that 500 milligram of our first titration contain 50 milligram of our drug. Then from that 12 milligram of our digoxin for the whole product, how much of this are we going to fetch? So it's a simple calculation. So your X will now be 500 times 12 divided by 50. So you will discover that you have 120 milligram of T1. So it means that this is the quantity of T1 I'm going to fetch to do for my calculation, preparation. So now, at this point, we will now go into other aspect of the calculation. I need me to clean this. We have now the total weight of the 12 powders. You need to know the total weight of the 12 powders so that you can know the amount of the lactose you need to add to this. Is that okay? You remember, I don't know, I've cleaned the table, but let me just write it briefly here. We say that our given formula, and then our working formula. Digoxin was 1 milligram here. So here, you will now write 120 milligram. But remember, of course, you know that digoxin is a poison. In the first that 50 milligram that you weigh, from that initial point, before adding 450 milligram of lactose, your supervisor must come and sign. If not, it's just work done equals to 0, because if you reach this point, he will ask you, how did you weigh the 15 milligrams? So you have to, that is the starting point. You need to come and sign on it, because it's a poison. So That you learn in 306, so I don't need to go over that. So now, so you will now write 120 milligram of T1. That is from this. That is for this. So your lactose quantity sufficient. We want to know how much of our lactose we need to fetch. So now at this point, you need to follow me very, very, very carefully. Now we know that for a powder, the minimum weighable amount is 200 milligrams to be sent. Is that okay? So for 12 powders, how will it now be? To be at 12 times your 200. Somebody will ask me, how did you get this 200? Is the minimum weight of pharmaceutical powder is 200 milligrams. Is that okay? So put that in the Bible. So that is why I have to times it to know the total weight of the whole powder. So 12 times 200. 12 is because it's 12 powders we are sending. Right? Yeah. So now 12 times 200 will now give me 2,400 milligrams. So that is the total weight of your powder. So to now get the quantity of lactose will be this total amount, 2,400 milligrams minus this quantity of your T1 that you have fetched to mix with it. So it will be minus 120 milligrams. So that will be, if you do your calculation very well, that will give you 2,280 milligrams. So that is what you are going to put here in your lactose quantity sufficient, 2,280 milligrams. 2280 milligrams of your lactose. So if you have done this, I think you are good to go. You can now go into your methodology. That is how you will now carry. Of course, as usual, you know, lactose 450 milligrams was weighed, transferred into a dry, all of that. You know that in 306. It's the same process you're going to follow to get that. Then after that, you go into the packaging of your product. So of course, you know that for this powder, you are going to weigh, what is it called? 200 milligrams. 200 milligrams each. And wrap it. You don't need to double wrap. This one doesn't need double wrapping. Of course, you've seen it in the first video where I listed some of the ingredients that need double wrapping. So you need to do that. And then after that is your labeling. Of course, this will be captured under your methodology. That is all this one that, okay, having done all of that, 200 milligrams of your drug was weighed and then wrapped to be sent. So for your label, of course, this is an internal product, so you know that it's a black label. Is that okay? Well fitted to your container, to your the wrapping sheet. So the powder, you write the powder, and then of course you write 200 milligrams times. Now, this 200 milligrams is the quantity of each of the wrap. And then how many are you sending to your patient? If you write 12, it's wrong. You remember it's 10, but because of the excess, that makes it 12. So it's to be 10. Is that okay? Then you write the direction. And of course, the direction here, you remember from the question, the direction was 1 BD for 5 days. 7 here means 1 week, which is 7 days. So the person is taking one of your powder in the morning. After 12 hours, you will take another, which means that in a day he's taking 2, and he's taking that for 5 days. So your direction will now be take 1 powder with sufficient quantity of water every 12 hours for 5 days. You have to indicate it. All this information is from here. Is that okay? There are some questions that may even come without direction, so you have to even ask for it. Actually, you see, the direction was not given, but this one is there, so you don't need. It's just the interpretation. You take 1, BD means twice, so 1 You take one powder with sufficient quantity of water every 12 hours. Of course, that is morning and evening. If you like, if you put it like that, they will still mark it. But it's best you indicate this. It's more professional. 4-5 days, and that will be okay. So then the name of the patient, of course, the name of the patient at this side, and then the date you prepare it, and then from where you need to also indicate that is from so hospital, or you are preparing, or from so lab, or from so department. That is the base. Then the final thing you need to do is the uses. These uses, even if you know the uses of digoxin, there is no problem for you to. You can write it from your head, but straight check your BBC. That is why you have the book with you. Open it and copy the uses of digoxin. Maybe about 2-3, it's okay, and you are good to go. I believe that from this short video, you're able to understand how to prepare your powder when it's given for. It's very simple something, it's not difficult. But when we look at other examples subsequently that has to do with many ingredients, you will come to appreciate it more. So meanwhile, enjoy your time. Thank you.